Most women wake up the morning after their wedding feeling safe. They feel loved. I woke up to a phone call that destroyed my life in 10 seconds. My husband, Grant, was in the shower. I could hear the water running and him humming a little song. We had been married for less than 24 hours. I was sitting on the edge of the hotel bed, still in my pajamas, looking at the sunlight coming through the curtains. I felt peaceful. Then my cell phone buzzed on the nightstand. It was a local number I didn't recognize. Usually I don't answer those, but something made me pick it up. "Mrs. Collins?" a deep voice asked. It was Mr. Cross, the manager of the Heritage Bistro, the beautiful venue where we had our reception just last night. "It's Mrs. Sawyer now," I said, smiling at my new name. "Listen to me carefully." "Avery," he said. His voice was dead serious. It wasn't a friendly call. "I need you to come back to the restaurant right now. Do not tell your husband. Come alone. We found something on the security footage from last night that you need to see." The happiness drained out of my body. The room suddenly felt freezing cold. As Grant turned off the shower behind me, I knew in my gut that my marriage was already over. Before we dive in, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below telling me, where in the world are you watching from? To understand why that phone call made me feel like the floor was falling out from under me, you have to understand who Grant was, or at least who I thought he was. I met Grant Sawyer 6 months ago. It was a Tuesday, a rainy afternoon, and I was in my favorite place in the world, a quiet, dusty bookstore on the corner of Main Street. I have always been a quiet person. I teach 3rd grade. I like order. I like peace. My life was simple, but sometimes late at night, it felt very lonely. I was standing in the history section, looking for a book on the Civil War for my dad, when I felt someone standing next to me. "That's a heavy choice for a rainy Tuesday," a voice said. I looked up. There he was. He wasn't incredibly handsome like a movie star. He was regular handsome. He had kind eyes, brown hair that was neatly combed, and he was wearing a simple blue sweater. He looked safe. That was the first word that popped into my head. Safe. "It's for my father," I said. "He has good taste," the man smiled. "I'm Grant." "I'm Avery." We stood there and talked for 20 minutes. Usually I am shy with men. I freeze up. I don't know what to say. But with Grant, it was easy. He didn't try to impress me with big stories about his car or his money. He listened. He asked me questions about my job, about my students, about what I liked to read. He bought me a coffee at the shop next door. We sat by the window and watched the rain fall. He told me he was an accountant. He said he liked numbers because they made sense. They didn't lie. "I like clarity," he told me, looking right into my eyes. "I like building things that last." I drank every word of it. After years of bad dates, ghosting, and men who only wanted one thing, Grant felt like a warm blanket in winter. He felt like the adult I had been waiting for. We started dating immediately. He was perfect. He texted me, "Good morning," every single day at 7 a.m. He opened doors for me. He brought flowers for no reason, just because it was a Thursday. My friends told me I was lucky. "He's a catch, Avery," they said. "Don't let him go." But my parents were different. 2 months into the relationship, I brought Grant home to meet Elaine and Richard Collins. My parents are good people, but they are tough. My dad worked hard his whole life, and he is very protective of me. We sat around the dinner table. My mom had made roast beef. The atmosphere was a little stiff. "So, Grant," my dad said, cutting his meat carefully, "you've only known Avery for 8 weeks, and you're already talking about marriage?" Grant didn't flinch. He put his fork down and looked my father in the eye. "Sir, I know it seems fast, but when you know, you know. Avery is the woman I want to build a life with. I have a good job. I have savings. I want to take care of her." My mom looked worried. "Avery is very sensitive, Grant. We just don't want to see her get hurt. Maybe you should slow down." "I would never hurt her," Grant said. His voice was so steady, so convincing. Under the table, he reached out and squeezed my hand. I squeezed back. I looked at my parents and I felt defensive. Why couldn't they just be happy for me? Why did they have to look for problems? "I trust him, Dad," I said firmly. "He's a good man." Grant smiled at me, a soft, sad smile that said, "It's okay, I understand them." It made me love him even more. I wanted to prove my parents wrong. I wanted to show them that Grant was my future. He talked so much about that future.
He talked about a house with a garden.
He talked about having 2 kids. He talked about stability. That was his favorite word. I had a chaotic childhood, Avery, he told me once when we were sitting in my car. My parents fought all the time. I promised myself that when I got married, it would be peaceful. It would be a partnership. You and me against the world. I believed him because I wanted to believe him. I was 32 years old. I wanted the husband, the house, the family. Grant was offering it all to me on a silver platter. So, when he proposed to me 4 months after we met, I didn't hesitate. I didn't think about how little I actually knew about his past. I didn't think about how I had never met his old friends because he said he drifted apart from them. I just saw the ring and the man on one knee and the promise of a happy ending. I said yes. I started planning the wedding immediately. My parents eventually came around, though my dad still watched Grant with narrow eyes every time he came over. But I ignored it. I thought my dad was just being an overprotective father. I was wrong. My dad was using his instincts. I was using my heart, and my heart was blind. The wedding was yesterday. We chose the Heritage Bistro because it was intimate and classy. It wasn't a big, loud hall. It was a beautiful restaurant with brick walls, low lighting, and great food. I remember standing in the small dressing room before the ceremony. My dress was white lace. It was simple, just like me. I looked in the mirror, and I didn't see a victim. I saw a bride. I saw a woman who had finally won. Brooke Callahan was my maid of honor. We had been friends since college. Brooke was the opposite of me. She was loud, she was funny, and she was always the center of attention. "You look okay," Brooke said, standing behind me in the mirror. She was fixing her own hair, pulling a strand loose to frame her face. "Just okay?" I asked, laughing nervously. "You know what I mean," she said. She didn't smile. She seemed distracted. She kept checking her phone. "You look great, Avery. Grant is going to flip." "Are you okay, Brooke?" I asked. "You seem a little edgy." "I need a drink," she said. "Weddings always make me thirsty." She laughed, but it sounded sharp, almost mean. I brushed it off. That was just Brooke. She was always dramatic. The ceremony was beautiful. I walked down the aisle and saw Grant waiting for me. He looked handsome in his tuxedo. He had tears in his eyes. When I reached him, he took my hands. His palms were warm. "You are beautiful," he whispered. We said our vows. I promised to love him in sickness and in health. He promised to cherish me. Every word felt heavy and real. When the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," Grant kissed me deeply. Everyone cheered. I felt like I was floating. The reception started right there in the bistro. The tables were set with white linens and candles. The mood was perfect, but as the night went on, small things started to feel off. It started with the first dance. We were dancing to a slow, romantic song. Grant was holding me tight, his face buried in my neck. It felt passionate. Then, over Grant's shoulder, I saw Brooke. She was standing near the bar. She wasn't watching me. She was watching Grant. She had a strange look on her face. It wasn't a smile. It was a look of ownership. She raised her glass slightly, staring right at the back of his head. When the song ended, Grant let go of me. "I need to get some air," he said. He looked a little flushed. "Are you okay?" I asked. "Just hot," he said. "All this attention. I'll be right back." He walked toward the bar. I saw Brooke turn and walk toward the hallway that led to the restrooms and the back office. Grant didn't follow her immediately, but a minute later, he went in the same direction. I sat down at the head table, feeling a tiny prick of worry, but I pushed it down. "Don't be crazy, Avery," I told myself. "They are just going to the bathroom. They are friends." 20 minutes passed. People were coming up to me, congratulating me. "Where is the groom?" my Aunt Martha asked. "Oh, he just stepped out for a second." I lied. My stomach started to turn. 20 minutes is a long time at your own wedding reception. I looked around the room. My parents were dancing. My friends were laughing. But the seat next to me was empty. Finally, I saw Grant come back out of the hallway. He walked quickly. He was adjusting his tie. He looked sweaty. A moment later, Brooke came out. She had reapplied her lipstick. It was bright red. She was smiling now, a big, wide smile that didn't reach her eyes. She walked straight to the bar and ordered a shot of tequila. Grant sat down next to me. He grabbed my hand and kissed it. His hand was cold and clammy. "Where were you?" I asked, trying to keep my voice light. Everyone was asking. I'm so sorry, babe, he said. He looked stressed. I got a work call. Emergency with the Johnson account. I had to take it. You know how demanding they are. I didn't want to ruin the vibe, so I went to the back. On our wedding night? I asked. You took a work call? I had to, Avery. It's for our future. I'm doing this for us. He looked at me with those puppy dog eyes. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I looked at him. I wanted to be the supportive wife. I wanted to be the partner who understood that he was working hard for our family. It's okay, I said softly. Just don't leave me again. Never, he promised. Later that night, around 10 p.m., things got even stranger. Brooke came over to our table. She had been drinking a lot. She leaned over Grant, putting her hand on his shoulder. Her fingers lingered on his jacket. You're a lucky man, Grant, she purred. She wasn't looking at me. She was looking at him. I know I am, Grant said. He didn't move away. He didn't brush her hand off. He sat there, stiffly, letting her touch him. Avery is a sweet girl, Brooke said, finally looking at me. Her eyes were glassy. So sweet. So predictable. Brooke, you're drunk, I said, forcing a laugh. Maybe you should have some water. I'm fine, she snapped. Then she laughed again. I'm just happy for you guys. Really. It's quite a setup you have here. She winked at Grant. A slow, deliberate wink. Grant cleared his throat. Brooke, maybe you should go sit down. She patted his cheek. Actually patted his cheek. Whatever you say, boss. She walked away, swaying in her heels. I felt cold. What was that about? I asked Grant. She's wasted, Grant said, shaking his head. Don't pay attention to her. She's just jealous because you're happy and she's single. That made sense. Brooke was always complaining about being single. I felt a wave of pity for her. Poor Brooke. She was embarrassing herself because she was lonely. The rest of the night was a blur. We cut the cake. We threw the bouquet. We ran out to the car under a shower of sparklers. Grant drove us to the hotel. He was sweet, attentive, and loving. When we got to the hotel room, he carried me over the threshold. He told me he loved me. We fell asleep in each other's arms. For a few hours, everything was perfect. I was Mrs. Avery Sawyer. I had a husband who worked hard for me. I had a best friend who was just a little messy, but loved me. I had a condo that Grant and I were going to fix up together. I fell asleep thinking I had everything I ever wanted. Then came the morning. Then came the phone call while Grant was in the shower. Come alone, Mr. Cross had said. Don't tell your husband. Now, sitting on the edge of the bed, the memory of last night changed. The way Grant sweated. The way Brooke touched him. The work call that took 20 minutes. The wink. It wasn't just weird behavior. It was smoke. And where there is smoke, there is fire. I stood up. My legs felt shaky. Who was that? Grant called out from the bathroom. The water stopped running. I froze. I had to think fast. If I told him the restaurant called, he would want to come. He would want to know why. Mr. Cross was very specific. Come alone. I cleared my throat. I tried to make my voice sound normal. It was the front desk. I lied. They said there was a problem with the credit card on file for the room deposit. I have to go down to the lobby to sort it out. Do you want me to go? Grant asked. I heard the shower door open. He was stepping out. No, I said too quickly. I took a breath. No, you relax. You drove all night. I'll just run down, fix it, and grab us some coffee. Stay in bed. You're the best, he called out. I love you, Avery. I love you too, I said. The words tasted like ash in my mouth. I grabbed my purse and my car keys. I didn't look at the bathroom door. I walked out of the hotel room and closed the door softly behind me. I walked to the elevator. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I felt like I was going to throw up. I got into my car and drove toward the Heritage Bistro. The morning sun was bright, but my world felt dark. I didn't know what I was going to see on that footage. But I knew one thing. The man I left in that hotel room was not the man I met in the bookstore. I just didn't know how bad it truly was. The drive to the Heritage Bistro took 15 minutes. It was the longest 15 minutes of my life. My hands were shaking so bad, I had to grip the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. Every time I stopped at a red light, I wanted to turn around. I wanted to go back to the hotel, crawl back into bed next to my husband, and pretend none of this was happening. But I couldn't. I kept thinking about the look on Mr. Cross's face when I saw him last night. He was a professional. He wouldn't call me on my wedding morning for a joke. As I drove, my mind started racing through the last 6 months. I started looking for clues. I started thinking about the one thing I had that Grant didn't. My condo. I own a beautiful 2-bedroom condo in the city.
I didn't buy it.
My grandmother, Nana Rose, left it to me when she passed away 3 years ago. It was fully paid off. No mortgage, no debt. In this economy, a paid-off home in the city is like a winning lottery ticket. It was my safety net. It was the only reason I could afford to be a teacher and still live comfortably. When I first met Grant, I didn't tell him about the condo. I told him I rented. I had learned to be careful. But about 3 months into our relationship, I brought him home. I remember the look on his face when he walked in. He looked at the high ceilings. He looked at the hardwood floors. He walked to the window and looked out at the view of the park. "This is amazing, Avery," he said. "Who is your landlord? They must charge a fortune." "Actually," I said, feeling a little proud, "I own it. My grandmother left it to me. It's all mine." Grant went quiet. He turned around slowly. His eyes were wide. "You own this?" he asked. "Free and clear?" "Yes," I said. He smiled. It was a huge, beaming smile. He walked over and hugged me, lifting me off my feet. "That is incredible, babe. That's security. That's a future. You are so smart." I thought he was just happy for me. I didn't see the calculator behind his eyes. From that day on, the condo became a central part of our conversation. But he was subtle.
He was so smart about it.
He never demanded anything. He never said, "Give me half." Instead, he used words like team and partnership. One night, about a month before the wedding, we were sitting on the floor eating pizza. We were talking about finances. Grant had brought out a notepad. "I want to take care of you, Avery," he said, drawing a circle on the paper. "I want to pay the bills. I want to handle the utilities. I want you to save your salary for our future kids." "That's really sweet, Grant," I said. "But I can contribute." "I know you can," he said softly. "But marriage is about equity. It's about two becoming one. Technically, if we live here and I'm paying for renovations and bills, it gets complicated legally. My lawyer friend mentioned that it's always safer for both partners if the assets are shared. It protects you too, in case something happens to me." He looked so concerned. He made it sound like putting his name on the deed was a way to protect me. "I don't care about the money," he said, looking me right in the eye. "I just want us to be equal. I don't want to feel like a guest in your home. I want to feel like your husband." That line got me. I don't want to feel like a guest. I felt guilty. I didn't want him to feel like a guest. I wanted him to feel like the man of the house. "Okay," I had said. "After the wedding, we can go to the lawyer. We'll add your name to the deed." "Are you sure?" he asked. He didn't jump up and down. He acted hesitant. "I'm sure," I said. "We are partners." He kissed me gently. "We are partners, forever." Now, driving down Main Street with tears stinging my eyes, I realized something terrifying. The appointment with the lawyer was scheduled for next Tuesday.
3 days from now.
If I had signed those papers, Grant would legally own half of my home. If we divorced, he could force me to sell it. He could take half the value. We are talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. My stomach twisted. Was it possible? Was the romance, the flowers, the proposal, was it all just a long con to get his name on a piece of paper? I pulled into the parking lot of the Heritage Bistro. My car was the only one there besides a black sedan near the back door. The restaurant looked different in the daylight. It looked gray and empty. The magic from last night was gone. I turned off the engine. I took a deep breath.
"You need to know," I told myself.
"Whatever is in there, you need to see it." I opened the car door and stepped out. The air was cool. I smoothed down my shirt. I was still wearing the jeans and t-shirt I had thrown on at the hotel. I felt small. I walked to the back entrance where Mr. Cross was waiting for me. He was standing by the door, smoking a cigarette. He dropped it and stepped on it when he saw me. He didn't smile. "Mrs. Sawyer," he said. He looked tired. He had bags under his eyes. "Please," I said, my voice cracking. "Just call me Avery. Come inside, Avery." Mr. Cross led me through the kitchen. It smelled of cleaning supplies and stale coffee. We walked past the stainless steel counters where the chefs had prepared my wedding dinner just hours ago. It felt like a ghost town. We went into a small office in the back. It was cramped, filled with filing cabinets and a large desk with 3 computer monitors. There was no place to sit except a wooden chair he had pulled up for me. "Sit down," he said gently. I sat. My knees were knocking together. Mr. Cross sat in his big leather chair. He hesitated. He looked at me with genuine pity. I hated that look. It confirmed that something terrible had happened. "We have security cameras everywhere," Mr. Cross explained. "Insurance requires it. Most people know about the ones in the main hall. But we also have them in the back corridors, near the loading dock, and in the supply office. We had some theft issues last year, so we upgraded the system to record high-quality audio." He turned to the keyboard. "Last night, after everyone left, I was reviewing the tapes to make sure the closing crew did their job," he said. "I saw something at timestamp 9:43 p.m. This was during the time your father was giving his toast, I believe. Or maybe during a dance." "It was the father-daughter dance," I whispered. "Grant was gone. He said he had a work call." Mr. Cross nodded grimly.
Right.
"A work call." He clicked the mouse. "I'm going to play it. I want you to brace yourself, Avery. It's not graphic in a sexual way, not fully. But the things they say, it's hard to hear. Just play it," I said. I needed to rip the Band-Aid off. He pressed play on the center screen. The video was black and white, but the picture was crystal clear. It showed the back hallway near the emergency exit. There were stacks of chairs and boxes of napkins. Grant walked into the frame. He looked around to make sure no one was there. He wasn't stressed. He wasn't sweating like he told me he was. He looked calm. He leaned against the wall and pulled out a pack of cigarettes. I didn't even know Grant smoked. A few seconds later, Brooke walked into the frame. My heart stopped. She didn't walk like a friend. She walked right up to him, stepping between his legs. Grant didn't back away. He smiled. A nasty, arrogant smile I had never seen on his face before. He lit a cigarette and took a drag, then handed it to Brooke. She took a drag and blew the smoke into his face. "Is the coast clear?"
Brooke asked.
Her voice was clear on the recording. "Yeah," Grant said. "The old man is crying on the dance floor with her. It's pathetic. We have 10 minutes, tops." Brooke laughed. She reached up and fixed his tie. "You're a good actor, babe. I almost believed you were in love up there." "Don't be gross," Grant scoffed. "God, she's exhausting. She's so needy." "Do you love me, Grant? Am I pretty, Grant?" He mimicked my voice. He made me sound like a whining child. I felt like I had been punched in the throat. I covered my mouth with my hand. "It's almost over," Brooke said. She leaned in and kissed him. It wasn't a quick peck. It was deep, familiar. They kissed like a couple that had been together for years. "So, what is the timeline?" Grant pulled back from the kiss. He checked his watch. "We stick to the plan," he said. His voice was all business now. "We go on the honeymoon. I play the perfect husband. Tuesday, we sign the papers for the condo. Once my name is on that deed, I own half, legally. And then?" Brooke asked. "Then I start the fights," Grant said. He smirked. "I become distant. I make her miserable. I give it 6 months. She's soft, Brooke. She'll crumble. She'll file for divorce because she can't take the conflict. I'll agree to split the assets. We sell the place, I take my 50%, and you and I are $200,000 richer." "She has no idea?" Brooke asked. "None," Grant laughed. It was a cold, dry sound. "She thinks she won the lottery. She's so grateful for scraps. I bought her a $10 bouquet from the gas station last week and she cried. She's boring, she's predictable, and she is completely under my control." "You're bad," Brooke giggled. "I'm smart," Grant corrected her. "Now, mess up my hair a little. I need to look flustered when I go back out there. I'll tell her it was a work crisis." Brooke reached out and ruffled his hair. She unbuttoned his top button. "Go get Tiger," she said. Grant turned to leave. Then he stopped and looked back at Brooke. "I love you, B. Just hang tight. 6 months." "I love you too," she said. The screen went black. Mr. Cross swiveled his chair around. He didn't say anything. He just handed me a box of tissues. I didn't take one. I sat there, frozen. I expected to be crying hysterically. I expected to be screaming. But I wasn't. I felt something else. The sadness was there, yes. It was a heavy, crushing weight in my chest. The man I loved didn't exist. He was a character played by an actor. My best friend was a snake. But underneath the sadness, there was something hotter, something sharper. They called me boring. They called me predictable. They called me soft. They thought I was just a victim, a stepping stone to a paycheck. Grant had said, "She thinks she won the lottery." He was wrong. He was the one who thought he had won. He thought he had already cashed the check. I stood up slowly. My legs weren't shaking anymore. "Can I get a copy of that?" I asked. My voice sounded different to my own ears. It was lower, steadier. Mr. Cross looked surprised by my reaction. "I put it on a USB drive for you. It's right here." He handed me a small silver stick. I closed my fist around it. It felt cold and hard. "Thank you, Mr. Cross," I said.
You
"Saved my life." "What are you going to do?" he asked. "Are you going to the police?" "No," I said. "It's not a crime to be a liar. The police can't do anything." I walked to the door. I paused and looked back at the blank screens. They said I was predictable. I said, mostly to myself, "I think it's time to be unpredictable." I walked out of the office. The sun was shining outside, but the world looked different now. It wasn't a fairy tale anymore. It was a battlefield. I got into my car and put the key in the ignition. I didn't drive back to the hotel. I didn't drive to Grant. I drove to my parents' house. Grant wanted a show. He wanted to play games? Okay, game on. I pulled into the driveway of the house I grew up in. It was a small, white house with blue shutters. My dad was outside, washing his truck in the driveway. It was such a normal Saturday morning. He looked up and waved, a big smile on his face. He thought I was coming by to share stories about my wedding night. He thought I was the happiest woman in the world. When I got out of the car, his smile dropped. "Avery," he said, dropping the sponge. "Honey, what's wrong? You look like a ghost." I didn't say anything. I just walked past him into the house. "Come inside, Dad. Get Mom." My mom was in the kitchen making coffee. She turned around, beaming. "The bride returns. How was?" She stopped when she saw my face. "Oh my God. Avery, what happened?" "Sit down," I said. "Both of you." "Living room."
now.
They sat on the old beige sofa where we used to watch movies together. I stood in front of the TV. My hands were shaking again, but not from fear this time, from adrenaline. I plugged the USB drive into the side of the smart TV. "I need you to watch this," I said. "And I need you to promise not to scream until it's over." "Avery, is Gran okay?" my mom asked, terrified. "Was there an accident?" "There was no accident," I said. "Just watch." I pressed play. I watched my parents watch the video. I saw the confusion on their faces when Grant and Brooke walked onto the screen. I saw the confusion turn to shock when they started smoking. Then came the audio. "She's boring, she's predictable, and she is completely under my control." My mom gasped. She covered her mouth with both hands, tears instantly springing to her eyes. She looked like she had been slapped. Then came the part about the plan, the condo, the divorce. "I take my 50% and you and I are $200,000 richer."
My dad didn't gasp.
He turned red, a dark, dangerous shade of red. The veins in his neck popped out. He stood up so fast he knocked the coffee table with his shin, but he didn't even feel it. "I'm going to kill him," my dad said. His voice was low and shaking with rage. "I am going to drive to that hotel, and I am going to beat him until he can't stand up." He started walking toward the door. He was serious. My dad is 60 years old, but he is strong, and he was ready to go to jail for me. "Richard, stop," my mom cried. "No," Dad yelled. "He used her. He's trying to steal her home." I knew he was a snake. I knew it.
Dad,
I shouted. "Stop." I stood in front of the door, blocking his way. "Move, Avery," he growled. "He doesn't get away with this."
he won't, I said.
I looked him right in the eye. "But if you go there and beat him up, what happens?" "You go to jail. He sues us. He plays the victim. He tells everyone my crazy father attacked him for no reason. He wins." My dad stopped. He was breathing hard. "So what?" "We just let him take the condo." "No," I said. I felt a cold calm settle over me. It was a strange feeling. I had never felt this way before. I had always been the peacekeeper, the quiet one, the predictable one. But Graham was right about one thing. I liked clarity. And now, things were very clear. "We aren't going to use fists," I said. "We are going to use the truth." I walked back to the TV and pulled out the USB drive. Grant thinks I am stupid, I said. He thinks I am soft. He thinks he is already one. That is his weakness. He is arrogant. What do you want to do? Mom asked, wiping her eyes. He wants a show, I said. I'll give him a show. He loves being the center of attention. He loves when people tell him how great he is. I looked at the clock. It was 11 a.m. I'm going to go back to the hotel, I said. I'm going to tell him that I want to have a special thank you dinner tonight before we leave for our honeymoon tomorrow. I'm going to tell him I want to invite the wedding party and his parents back to the Heritage Bistro for drinks and appetizers. Just a small, intimate gathering to celebrate. Why? Dad asked, confused. Because, I said, clutching the USB drive in my hand. I want witnesses. If I confront him alone, he will lie. He will gaslight me. He will say I'm crazy. But if I show this video in front of his mother, in front of his father, in front of his best friends, he can't hide, Dad whispered. He started to nod. He can't spin it. Exactly, I said. He wants to humiliate me in 6 months? I'm going to destroy his reputation in 6 hours. My mom stood up and hugged me. She was shaking. You are so brave, honey. I don't know how you can go back there and look at him. I can do it, I said. Because the man I loved is dead. The man in that hotel room is just a thief trying to rob me. And I don't cry for thieves. Driving back to the hotel was an out-of-body experience. I felt like an actress walking onto a stage. I had to become someone else. I had to become the Avery that Grant thought I was: sweet, clueless, and adoring. I stopped at a coffee shop and bought 2 lattes and a bag of pastries. Props. I needed props. When I walked into the hotel room, Grant was lying on the bed watching sports. He looked so relaxed. He looked like a man without a care in the world. It made my stomach turn, but I forced a smile onto my face. I'm back, I chirped. Grant looked up and smiled. Hey, babe. Everything okay with the card? All sorted. I lied smoothly. Just a bank error. I brought you coffee. He took the cup. You're the best. Come here. He patted the bed. I sat down. He leaned in to kiss me. This was the hardest part. I had to let him kiss me. His lips touched mine, and I remembered the video. I remembered him smoking with Brooke. I remembered him calling me exhausting. I wanted to vomit, but I kissed him back. I kept it short. Grant, I said, pulling away. I was thinking. Yeah, last night was such a blur, I said. I feel like we didn't get to really thank everyone, especially your parents. And Brooke. They did so much for us. We can send cards, Grant said, taking a sip of his coffee. I know, I said, but I was thinking, since we don't leave for the honeymoon flight until tomorrow morning, why don't we do something spontaneous tonight? I called Mr. Cross at the bistro. He said the private room is free tonight. I want to have a little thank you party. Just drinks and cake. Just for the inner circle. Grant hesitated. I could see him thinking. He didn't want to make the effort. But then I played his ego card. I just want everyone to know what a great husband you are, I said, batting my eyelashes. My dad was saying he wasn't sure if we had enough time to talk, and I want to show your dad that we are starting off right. I want to make a toast to you. Grant smiled. He couldn't resist that. He loved being praised. He loved looking like the perfect son and husband. That's actually a really sweet idea, Avery, he said. My dad would love that. He loves feeling important. Great, I said. I'll start texting people. Can you call your parents and the guys?
Sure, he said.
I walked into the bathroom and turned on the tap, so he couldn't hear me breathing. I looked at myself in the mirror. My eyes looked hard. Okay, I thought. Phase 1 complete. I sat on the edge of the tub and started texting. First, I texted the guests. I invited Grant's parents, Kenneth and Barbara. They were strict, traditional people. They cared about reputation more than anything. This would kill them. I invited his friends from the auto shop, Mike, Dave, and Steve. They were loud, rowdy guys who thought Grant was the man. They would be the witnesses to his shame. Then I texted Brooke. Hey, bestie. Unplanned get-together tonight at the bistro. 7 p.m. Grant, and I want to give you a special thank you gift for being such an amazing maid of honor. Don't be late. Zoxo, her reply came in 10 seconds. OMG. You guys are too sweet. I'll be there. Can't wait to see you. Love. I stared at the screen.
Special gift.
Oh, she was getting a gift, all right. She thought she was getting money or maybe jewelry. She had no idea. I spent the afternoon getting ready. I told Gran I needed to go to the venue early to set up decoration. You relax, I told him. Come at 7 o'clock with your parents. I want everything to be perfect. You work too hard, babe, he said, barely looking up from his phone. But okay, see you there. I left the hotel and drove straight back to the Heritage Bistro. Mr. Cross was waiting for me. He had the room set up. It was a smaller room than the main reception hall, used for rehearsal dinners. There was one long table, and at the front of the room, there was a large white projection screen. Did you bring the file? Mr. Cross asked. Yes, I said. I handed him the USB drive. He plugged it into the laptop connected to the projector. We should test it, he said. He clicked the file. The image of the back hallway filled the giant screen. It was huge. You couldn't miss a single detail. The smoke curling in the air. The smirk on Grant's face. Turn the volume up, I said. All the way. Mr. Cross adjusted the speakers. Grant's voice boomed through the empty room, grateful for scraps. It was loud. It was clear. It was perfect. Pause it at the beginning, I said. Make sure the screen is black when they walk in. I want to. Introduce it. You got it, Mr. Cross said. He looked at me with respect. You're a strong woman, Avery. Most people would have just run away. Running away doesn't fix the problem, I said. It just leaves it for the next person. I set the table. I put a vase of white roses in the middle. I placed cards at every seat. I put Grant at the head of the table. I put Brooke right next to him. I put myself on the other side, standing. And then I placed my wedding ring box on the table in front of my seat. It was empty, but later it wouldn't be. At 6:45 p.m., my parents arrived. My dad looked like he was going to explode. He was wearing a suit, but his fists were clenched at his sides. Dad, I warned him. Not yet. You have to promise me. You have to be calm until the video ends. I promise, he grunted. But it's taking everything I have. My mom hugged me. Her hands were cold. We are right here with you. At 6:55 p.m., Brooke walked in. She looked stunning in a red dress. Too fancy for a casual dinner, but that was Brooke. She smelled like expensive perfume. Avery, she squealed, rushing over to hug me. I let her hug me. I felt her arms around me, the arms of the woman who kissed my husband on my wedding night. I felt a surge of disgust, so strong I almost pushed her away. But I held it in. Hi, Brooke, I said. You look great. Where is the happy couple? She asked, looking around. Grant is coming with his parents, I said. Sit down. I ordered champagne. At 7 p.m. exactly, the door opened. Grant walked in, flanking his parents. Kenneth Sawyer was a tall, imposing man. Barbara Sawyer was small and nervous. Grant looked confident. He was wearing a nice polo shirt and slacks. He looked like the perfect suburban husband. Here they are, Grant announced, the best in-laws in the world. He walked over and kissed my cheek. Hey, beautiful, he said. My skin crawled. Everyone, please sit, I said, my voice steady. Thank you so much for coming on such short notice. The guests took their seats. Grant sat at the head. Brooke sat next to him. They exchanged a quick glance, a secret, smug look that said, "We are so smart." Grant's friends, the guys from the shop, filed in and grabbed beers, laughing and joking. Speech. Speech. Mike yelled, raising a bottle. I walked to the front of the room. I stood next to the projection screen. I held a small remote control in my hand. The room went quiet. Everyone looked at me. Grant was smiling, leaning back in his chair, his arm casually draped near Brooke's chair. He looked like a king holding court. I wanted to bring you all here tonight because I value honesty, I began. My voice was calm. I wasn't crying. I wasn't shaking. I value clarity. Grant always tells me that he loves building a future. He loves stability. Grant nodded, raising his glass to me. That's right, babe. And last night, I continued, something happened that gave me a lot of clarity about our future. I realized that words are nice, but actions speak louder. And sometimes we miss things. Sometimes we don't see what is right in front of us. Avery, you're making me blush, Grant laughed. So, I said, my finger hovering over the button on the remote. I wanted to share a very special moment from our wedding night. A moment that I think perfectly captures who Grant is. And who Brooke is. Brooke smiled, expecting a montage of them dancing or a photo of the bridal party. "Grant," I said, looking him dead in the eyes. "This is for you." I pressed the button. The room went dark as the projector beam hit the screen. At first, there was just the grainy black and white image of the back hallway. Grant laughed nervously. "What is this? Is this a blooper reel?" "Just watch," I said. Then, the audio kicked in. The speakers in the room were high quality. The sound of a lighter flicking was sharp and loud. On screen, Grant walked into the frame. He leaned against the wall. "Is the coast clear?" Brooke's voice rang out. In the room, real-life Brooke dropped her fork. It hit the plate with a loud clatter. She went pale instantly. She looked at the screen, then at me, then at Grant. Grant stopped smiling. He squinted at the screen. "Avery, turn this off. This isn't funny." "I'm not laughing," I said. On screen, the Grant and Brooke in the video started kissing. A gasp went through the room. Grant's mother, Barbara, put her hand to her throat. "Oh my heavens," she whispered. Grant jumped up. "Okay, joke's over. Technical difficulties. Turn it off." He started moving toward the laptop, but my dad stood up. My dad is a big man. He stepped right in Grant's path and crossed his arms. He didn't say a word. He just looked at Grant with eyes that promised violence if he took one more step. Grant froze. He looked around the room. "Mom, Dad, this is edited. This is AI. I never did this." "Quiet," his father, Kenneth, barked. Kenneth's face was stone cold. "Sit down and watch." Grant sat down. He looked trapped. The video continued. The kissing stopped, and the talking began. "We stick to the plan," Video Grant said. "We go on the honeymoon. I play the perfect husband. Tuesday, we sign the papers for the condo." I watched Grant's face. He turned red, then a sickly shade of gray. He knew there was no way to explain this away. It was his voice, his face, his plan. Then I start the fights. I become distant. I make her miserable. The friends from the auto shop stopped drinking their beers. They looked at each other, uncomfortable. Even they knew this was messed up. Then came the line that broke the room. "She's boring, she's predictable, and she is completely under my control." Brooke on the screen giggled. "You're bad." "I'm smart," Grant replied. The video ended with them saying, "I love you," to each other. The screen went black. The silence in the room was heavier than the darkness. It was a suffocating silence. You could hear the hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. Brooke was shaking. She was crying, but silent tears. She wouldn't look at anyone. Grant was staring at the tablecloth. "Well," I said. My voice sounded loud in the quiet room. "I guess I'm not that predictable after all." Grant looked up. His eyes were desperate. "Avery, baby, please. Let me explain. It was just talk. It was just a stupid moment. I was drunk. It meant nothing." "You weren't drunk," I said calmly. "You were calculating. You had a timeline. 6 months to break me. 6 months to steal half my inheritance." "No. I love you," he shouted, reaching for my hand. I pulled back. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my wedding ring. The diamond sparkled under the lights. It was the ring he bought to seal the deal. I placed it gently on the table in front of him. It made a small click. "This marriage is over," I said. "It hasn't even been 24 hours. I am filing for an annulment on Monday. You will sign the papers. You will not contest it. And you will never, ever come near my property again. You can't do this." Grant yelled. "We are married. You can't just throw it away over one mistake." One mistake. It was Kenneth Sawyer, Grant's father, who spoke. He stood up slowly. He looked at his son with pure disgust. "You plotted to steal from her," Kenneth said. His voice was low and dangerous. "You embarrassed this family. You acted like a criminal." "Dad, she's overreacting," Grant pleaded. "Get out," Kenneth said. "What?" "Get out." Kenneth roared, slamming his fist on the table. The plates jumped. "Get out of my sight. You are a disgrace." Grant looked at his mom. She was weeping into her napkin. She wouldn't look at him. He looked at his friends. They looked away. He looked at Brooke. She was staring at the floor, refusing to make eye contact. Finally, he looked at me. He looked at me with pure hatred. The mask was gone. The nice guy was gone. "You're crazy," he spat at me. "You're psycho." "Maybe," I smiled. "But I still have my condo. And you have nothing." Grant stormed out of the room. The door slammed behind him. Brooke stood up shakily.
I
should go too. Yes, I said. You should. And Brooke. She stopped, looking terrified. Don't text me, I said. Don't call me. Don't try to explain. You were my best friend. And you laughed when he called me boring. You are a bad person. Goodbye. She ran out of the room, sobbing. When the door closed, I felt my legs give out. I sat down in the nearest chair. My dad came over and wrapped his big arms around me. My mom joined him. We sat there for a long time. The room was quiet again, but it wasn't a heavy silence anymore. It was the silence of a storm that had finally passed. The next few weeks were a blur of paperwork, but they were easier than I expected. Grant signed the annulment papers immediately. He didn't fight. He didn't try to claim the condo. He knew that if he pushed me, I would release that video to the entire internet. I would send it to his boss. I would send it to every girl he tried to date in the future. He knew I held the power now.
So he signed and he disappeared.
I heard from a friend that he moved to a different state. He couldn't handle the shame in our small town. The auto shop guys had told everyone. Brooke didn't move, but she might as well have. Our friend group cut her off completely. No one wants to be friends with the girl who sleeps with the groom on the wedding night. She lost her social circle overnight. Sometimes I see her at the grocery store. She ducks her head and turns down a different aisle. I don't feel happy when I see her run, but I don't feel sad either. I just feel indifferent. I moved back into my condo. The first night back, it felt strange. I kept expecting to see Grant's shoes by the door. I kept expecting to see his notepad with his plans on the table. But the space was empty. It was mine. I spent a weekend cleaning. I scrubbed the floors. I washed the curtains. I rearranged the furniture. I wanted to scrub his energy out of my home. By Sunday night, the apartment smelled like lemon and lavender. I sat on my couch with a cup of tea, looking out at the park. It was quiet. For a long time, I had been afraid of this quiet. I thought silence meant I was lonely. I thought silence meant I was failing. That's why I let Grant in so quickly. I wanted to fill the silence with noise and promises. But now, sitting there with my paid-off roof over my head and my dignity intact, I realized something.
Peace is quiet.
Safety is quiet. I didn't lose a husband. I lost a parasite. I escaped a trap that would have ruined my life for years. My parents come over for dinner every Sunday now. My dad still gets red in the face when we mention Grant's name, so we mostly don't talk about him. We talk about my students. We talk about the garden. We talk about real things. I am 32 years old. I am single. I am a teacher. And I am the owner of my own life. Grant called me Scraps. He thought I should be grateful for whatever crumbs of affection he gave me. He was wrong. I am the whole meal. And I am done sharing my table with people who are starving me.
So, that is my story.
I know there are people watching this who are feeling lonely right now. Maybe you are sitting in a quiet apartment, wishing someone would call. Maybe you met someone who seems perfect, too perfect. Maybe they are moving fast. Maybe they are talking about shared assets and building a future before they even know your middle name. Please listen to your gut. If something feels off, it is off. If they make you feel like you are lucky to have them, run. If they try to isolate you from your family, fight back. And most importantly, never let anyone convince you that you are boring just because you are stable. Never let anyone convince you that you are predictable just because you are kind. Kindness is not weakness. Silence is not stupidity. Grant underestimated me because I was quiet. He didn't realize that when you are quiet, you hear everything. You see everything. And when the time comes, you can strike harder than the loudest person in the room. If you have ever been underestimated, or if you have ever survived a betrayal like this, tell me in the comments. I want to know I'm not alone. Let me know where you are watching from. And if you want to hear more stories about people reclaiming their power, please like and subscribe. We need to stick together. We need to remind each other that we are not victims. We are survivors. Stay safe, stay smart, and never ever settle for scraps.